Blessed Day Reflection by Abia listeners. My name is Abia Grant, and we are here to reflect on our life journey. We will be discussing topics related to self awareness, self improvement, and mental health. Also, the purpose of this safe space is for us to be free to discuss the ups and downs, celebrate the wins, and talk about ways to improve the lows. So, welcome to this podcast, and I hope you gain something from this time we share together. Hello everyone, how you doing? It's your girl Abia Grant. Welcome back to another episode of Reflection by Abia. I hope that you're doing well and that you are having a blessed day. If you are new to this podcast, thank you for tuning into Reflection by Abia. On this podcast, I focus on mental health, self awareness, and self improvement. So, if this is up your alley, then this is the perfect podcast to listen to. I talk a lot about my personal stories, things that I'm going through, decisions that I have to make, where my life is at now. If you are a OG, thank you for coming back. I appreciate the support and you coming back to listen to your girl go on and on about life and the journey. So, in this week's episode, I was talking to one of my good friends, and we were having a conversation about just the choices that we have to make as adults, and how that sometimes you can't, well, most times you cannot do everything. And there are things or moments in your life in which you're going to have to make a decision on what is basically best for that moment. As well, obviously, that can lead to the future too. It can impact the future as well too. So, it's very important that in the moment we make the best decision that we can make for our life. And when we was having this conversation, I was just explaining to her on how hard that can be. It can be hard and it can be very frustrating that you want to tackle so many goals, you want to do the things, but there is other, I want to say, you doing those things will impact other things and possibly not in a positive way. Basically, I came to the determination that you can't do everything you want to do. And although it may be frustrating, it's the honest truth. Sometimes we have this self imposed pressure, or we have the society expectations, or what people or society expects from us. They want us to do, you know, if we speak about a family, they want us to do the picket fence, the house, the dog, maybe the cat. They want us to have the kids and all the rest of that stuff. But there can be other things that you want for yourself. And maybe that is not your goal. Maybe your goal is to see the world, whatever it may be. And sometimes we are left with making a decision on what is best for that moment and how that basically would impact the future. So lately, I've been feeling pretty much that self imposed pressure to pretty much choose between my career and my family. If you listen to the past episodes this week, and definitely, well, not this week, sorry, in the past couple of weeks, if you listen to, I want to say the past two episodes, you heard me basically going through the motions between what to do next. And that basically that self-imposed pressure to meet a certain goal, accomplish, that goal, obviously meet that certain goal. And go on to the next thing. And what has really been, I want to say, a turmoil for me is picking between my career and my family. And I feel like a lot of us have this same situation, whether it's happening in our past, whether it's happening currently, or may happen in the future. Sometimes we are faced with this choice on what is best for us and what's the best for the long term, I want to say, life enjoyment. And I just been feeling like so, I want to say, so indecisive. I don't want to say indecisive. Maybe that's the wrong word. I think that's the wrong word, but I've been feeling conflicted. I've been feeling conflicted, like which one do I pick? And I guess conflicted means the same as, what I said before. But I just am trying to, or the past couple of weeks, I've been trying to figure out, do I stay? Do I go? What impact that would have on my family? What impact would that have on my future as far as the other goals that I'm trying to reach? Would it be beneficial to even put myself in that place? And it's a frustrating, as I mentioned before, just place to be in, to know that I know that I can't commit to both. I know that I can't commit to my career and I can't commit to my family at the same time. And some people can. I just know that I can't because I've been down this road before where I focus on my career and it wound up, being the center of my world, and my family started to get impacted. So I have to then make a decision on, do I want my family to be happy? Do I want my husband to be happy? Who is my family? In theory, him happy will make me happy, or do I go the career path? I mean, if you listen to my podcast before, you would hear that I talk a lot about my last job, how I felt that I was in a company where I truly felt needed. And I think that this is where a lot of it is stemming from. Now I am in a different place of where I'm working with a organization that I feel is, the job is good. I don't have stresses as much as I did before, and it's a very structured position between 9 and 5, because my prior job was hours on end. I was working until 7, 8, o'clock at night, and it began to affect my family because I was constantly working. But in this new position, or position that I have now, I feel like, yeah, the position is important, but there's not that same feeling of you truly being needed. I just feel like, yeah, okay, I'm in this, I'm doing this. Push come to shove, if I decide to go, they will find somebody else. But when I think about it now, even in my last position after I left, I'm pretty sure they found somebody else, right? They're not going to just leave the role empty because I decided not to return back after I was on FMLA. So I was just trying to figure out, okay, do you want to feel needed in your position and possibly look for something else that I guess you feel is better for you? Or do you want to stay where it's okay, everything is okay, you are there and you're focused on your job while you're there, but you could come home and you could focus on all the other things that you want to do, as far as, like, the podcast, as far as my YouTube channel, as far as my family. My job is not the center of my world as it was before. So like I said, I just been torn between that and just trying to find, I want to say, happiness in whatever I'm, doing. And this, what, a couple of weeks ago, I had went on vacation. Me and my husband had went to the Poconos, and this is when a lot of these feelings started to surface, and I did have a conversation with my husband briefly, and I was basically stating how I don't feel fulfilled, and I'm looking for that fulfillment, so what can I pour that fulfillment into? Like, what things can I do to make me happy, to be honest with you? And I felt like a couple of weeks ago that was looking for another job, that will give me that fulfillment. And I can say weeks later, that's the reason why I say it's always so important to sit. Well, I feel like it's important to sit on your thoughts, but I feel like when it's such a big decision, I mean, it depends. Let me backtrack. Sometimes you have to make an instant choice. It's just is what it is. And sometimes you have something that you can sit on to ponder, to think about. Whatever is best, and I think that when you do sit on a situation, similar to what I did, you have the opportunity to then go through the emotions on or the emotions on what the outcome would be. And like I said, the past couple of weeks, this is something that I've been considering. What do I do? I just want to pose this question to you guys because this is pretty much where my mindset went, is what would it feel like to focus on fewer, more meaningful goals? And when I say fewer goals, it's focusing on the goals that's most important to you or what you feel will be most important to you. And it's coming to a revelation on, you have to make a decision. Again, you can't hold yourself in both directions because you already know if you do, you're going to split in half. And what's the point of that? In this episode, I want to talk about that fact. I want to go over certain bullet points that I've highlighted that has basically allowed for me to make the right decision for me, and the right decision for my family. But before we go ahead and get further into this episode, I want to go ahead and get the housekeeping rules out of the way. So if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, be sure to hit the follow and notification button so Spotify lets you know when I release a new episode. As well, leave me a comment on what you enjoy about the podcast and give me a 5-star rating. This is how you can support my podcast. And the disclaimer is I am not a licensed psychiatrist or therapist. My suggestions and my guests are based on general knowledge and life experiences. If you're considering making significant changes or dealing with personal issues, seek and talk to a licensed mental health professional. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into this question on what it will feel like to focus on fewer, more meaningful goals. And this list is my own personalized list that I created, that I was considering when I was faced with this decision on what choice is best. So the first one I have is energy to show up fully. And when I say energy to show up fully, I mean that if whatever decision that I make that's best for me, I will be able to focus on what matters. I will feel less drained, and what will basically happen is that I will feel a sense of accomplishment, and I will be putting into what I truly want to put into. And I had to figure out, okay, is that career or is that family? You know, and I was like, okay, if I am showing up fully into my career, that means that it's pulling away from family because it's done that before. So then I was like, okay, I'm wavering more towards family because I know at the end of the day, that is what's most important. Okay. So now I put a check in that box. So now I have next a calmer mind. My mind won't be racing on what I have to do next. I will feel less anxious or beating myself up for not accomplishing everything due to multiple things being on my plate. So let's talk about it. Career, family. All right. So in a career, we know that we are doing all the things. And I'm not saying that I'm not busy in my current position, but as we are, in a role, likely management, because that was the role that I was pretty much in at my last job, we know that we have to um, do all the things. We know that we have to do all the things, and the stress that comes on in a role like that could be very overwhelming, and I know that because I was in that position before, what that feels like. And I know that I didn't like that feeling. That was part of the reason why I took time off from work, was because it was too much. And when I tried to discuss about how too much it was, I wasn't getting the help that I needed. So this was the reason why I left, part of the reason why I left my last job and started looking for someplace else where I'm there for the hours that I need to be. And then once I go, my mind is not overwhelmed with whatever I was dealing with at work because it's a very structured position. So I was like, okay, that's career. And then I think about family. Now, I'm not saying everything is perfect every day, but I'm not overwhelmed when it comes to family. I enjoy my life. And when I am able to share those experiences with my husband, I'm in a calm state. We are enjoying life. We are doing all the things that, we want to do. So then with that, I was like, okay, we have a next, check mark in family. Family is what's important. So I'm like, all right, so we got two now. So now let's go ahead and get into the next bullet point. And now we have inner alignment. Okay. So I got here. I will feel a deeper connection to why I'm doing this goal rather than feeling disattached. Lack of attachment leads to failure, and why would I want to fail? So I thought about this in career. Okay. After a while of being in my position, I felt like, what's the point? I felt, when I was, I guess, when I first started, that I did not have, let me correct myself. When I was in my position before and I did not have so much responsibility, and I guess you could say I was just a peon there, I felt happier. As I got into that management role, I started to disattach from the enjoyment. It became, again, as I mentioned before, stress. And I felt like my alignment was just in disarray. I felt like I was not who I was a couple of years ago. And my husband saw it, and my mom saw it, and it really impacted just my mental. Whereas when I'm with my family, I feel truly aligned. I feel like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. I feel a deep connection to my family. This is a willingness or a choice to be in this situation with my family. It's not like in my, position that I felt obligated. That's where I was. I felt obligated to do the things. I felt obligated to be there. So I knew or I know that I feel more aligned when I'm with family. So now if I pour into a new position, if I decide, okay, I'm going to go with the career and I'm going to pour into that new career, I know that is going to disattach me from who I truly am because I already know what that feels like. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that every situation is going to be the same as far as management roles. I'm just saying I know me, and I know that I can push myself too much. So I rather be in a place of comfortability, in a place of where my mental is positively aligned rather than being stressed. That is, another check mark for me into family. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Reflection by Abia. Feel free to check out the podcast Facebook and Instagram page. The links will be available in the show notes. Let's get back to the podcast. So the next one that I have is masterization, learning the ins and outs of that goal and being truly skilled. This will lead to satisfaction instead of having my hand in many things, to which often leads to a slow progress and never truly succeeding in my goal. So I never became a master in my last position. Never. There was always something. Yes. Did I know how to do my role? Did I understand my responsibilities? Yes. But I want to say that because things were just in such a chaotic state, I don't feel like masterization was even reached. Because when I feel like you're a master at something, I feel like also that's a completeness. And I never felt complete. But in my family, I feel complete. You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm able to master my family because I know what my husband wants. We sit down and we have those conversations on what we want and how we're going to get there. And I don't feel overwhelmed by what we're trying to put together. I want to put my all into it. One of the things that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks is taking more vacations. So I'm going to master making sure I find all the discounts and making sure that we're able to travel and do all the things that we want to do, because I know at the end of the day, that's pouring back into me and that's pouring back into my husband and us as a unit. We are a family. So the other one is connection to intuition, trusting my feelings or what feels right at this time instead of being swayed by my inner self-imposed pressure or what I think I want. So in this one, I didn't really look at career or I didn't really look at family. I just looked at what my intuition is telling me. And my intuition is telling me that you've been here before. You understand what I'm saying? You understand your emotional state before. And your intuition is telling you you don't want to go back there. You understand what I'm saying? You don't want to be stressed out. You don't want to have anxiety, which I still suffer from anxiety. It hasn't gone away. You don't want to be so angry that you lose yourself again. So my intuition is saying, stay away. Stay away from, at this time. I'm not saying that my feelings won't change, but at this time, stay with your family. Stay with the things that are bringing you peace. Being able to be with my husband that time, a couple weeks ago, we felt good. Like, we felt good. And it's been a long time since we've been able to travel and feel that way. And I know that that is what I want. So the next one that I have is control of my time. Instead of my schedule feeling like it controls me, I instead control it. Having control over my schedule builds a sense of peace within me. All right, so let's talk about this with career. I had no time. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even when I was off on the weekends, my mind was focused on work. When I was with my husband, I'm focused on work. I'm talking about work to the point he was like, girl, I don't want to hear any more about it. Like, I'm done. Like, it's the weekend. Let's go ahead and enjoy the weekend. But in my mind, I'm going through all the things I'm going to do on Monday. When I get back, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I know that for me, it's very important that I control my time. My time is of value. I know if I pour into something that's not going to be worthwhile, how I'm going to feel at the end of the day. And I don't like that feeling. Whereas with my family, the time that I am with my family, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. But let's go ahead and continue. I have two more bullet points. I have appreciation of patience, not chasing the outcome, but being present in the goal would lead to long term commitment. Now, clearly, as you will hear, I lost commitment to my job, the job that was causing me stress. It got to a point where I was just like, pretty much like, fuck it. Like, I'm done. There was no more that I could give to the situation. And I know for me and my family, my husband has had a lot of patience with me. And I appreciate him having a lot of patience with me. I feel like with him having patience for me, it just committed me more to making sure I do the things that I'm supposed to do in order to make sure he's happy. And me also being patient with myself. So then the last one that I have is meaningful relationships. Being intentional and putting more time into building new relationships and deepening connections that I already have. To be honest with you, I don't talk to anybody at my last job. And it's not that I'm angry. It's not that. But I don't have any meaningful relationships. But with my husband, I have a meaningful relationship. I am connecting towards what we are trying to do and all the goals that me and him are trying to reach. I feel that, yes, your career can pour back into you, and yeah, it could be meaningful, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's going to be there at the end? I feel like family is always there at the end. That's just my opinion. Your career can up and go in flames. You hear about all these people who invested so much into their career and they wind up, just losing themselves like I did. Their career just causes so much anxiety that they are no longer here on this earth. So, what is next for me? Okay, what is next for me is, as I mentioned earlier, my focus is on my family. And I also want to prioritize basically building meaningful relationships. So, with that, I'm trying to make more friendships. I am trying to make more female friendships. I think it's really important to have um, that place where you could talk to like-minded individuals who also want the same or similar to what you want for your life, because I feel like that will inspire you. So I'm also, looking for that and putting my effort into that, and creating those lasting memories and those bonds and things. So now that I've given you my list, I want you guys to think about what it will feel like to focus on fewer, more meaningful goals. And basically, what would your list look like? Jot your list down. Think about it. You may not come to the same determination that I've come to. Maybe your career is more important. Maybe, you're not in a relationship, so you could pour all into your career. Maybe you're not looking to create relationships with friends. This is what your career is, what is going to, I guess, thrive. But I really do hope that this episode was inspiring and that something I said was just like a light bulb to you. I'm not trying to tell anybody what's right, what's wrong. But guys, that is where I'm going to leave this week's episode. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. And I hope again that you've gained something out of what I have reviewed here on that you cannot do all the things and you do have to make a decision at the end of the day. So again, I hope that it helped. All right, guys, so stay blessed out there in those streets. Make sure that you treat others kindly out there in those streets. And God willing, I'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. Thank you for listening to Reflection by Abia. Let me know in the comments section what you thought about today's episode and share the podcast with your friends and family. The link will be available in the show notes.